I was told to watch Elemental's Colossal Failure, How Not to Advertise a Movie. Zeepsterd is a friend of mine. He's been on the podcast. He seems like a nice fellow, and he likes Better Call Saul. I love failures almost as much as I love successes. I love successes, but I also love failures. When a massive company fails tremendously, it just makes me so happy. It's the most relatable thing they could possibly do, because God knows making money and success isn't as relatable for these massive companies, so let's freaking go, baby. It's failure time. Elemental's Colossal Failure.
Guys, it's over. It's time to hang it all up. Elemental is a pretty big bomb for Disney. Listen, I just
Oh, it was Disney. Let's freaking go.
got done watching the movie and I thought it was like okay, but let me just say something. They did not market this movie well at all. There are a lot of things that went wrong here. For the mouse and friends, over hundreds of millions of dollars have been lost. Yeah, just between you and me, that seems like a big ouch.
That's almost like every time I decide to invest in some new product right before, I try to do something awesome and then I get canceled in between. It's like, oh, god damn it. I hate when that happens.
I'm Zeep. I'm pretty epic. If you like this video, go ahead and subscribe. And of course, like the video. And let's just get straight into it.
To be honest, I did not even know this movie was out. I remember vaguely hearing about it, but I didn't even know this was out.
To be fair, Elemental isn't the only movie bombing right now at the box office. It's joined
Okay, well that's because Flash is ass. It's hot garbage.
by the likes of The Flash. But what makes Elemental's bombing more interesting is that it's the worst performing Pixar movie by far. This comes at a deeper problem with Pixar. No original Pixar animated film has done super well within the past 5 years.
Ooh, that's rough.
I mean, yeah, sequels do well. Toy Story 4 made $1 billion. It's no wonder we're getting a Toy Story 5, despite the story being quote-unquote already over since the last film, and was supposed to be over with Toy Story 3 in 2010. But then you have
hey, money.
other films like Lightyear didn't do super well, even struggled to make back its budget.
That's crazy. Lightyear made so little, even though it's like one of the big dogs.
So when it comes to Elemental, what's going on? Don't get me wrong, they marketed this movie to death. I saw it all over buses, benches, whenever I closed my eyes. Dude, I even became a huge advertiser for this movie. I wouldn't shut up about it to my friends. I even bought the Wade plush, and I saw it in 4D. Every time Wade appeared on the
What is wrong with you? Why do you have faith in Pixar?
screen, it felt like I was actually getting waterboarded. That may be a little hyperbole, but you get what I mean. Of course, I did this all out of irony, because I thought this movie was gonna be one of the most generic films of all time. And after watching the movie, I feel as if it's a little more nuanced than that. Sure, of course, there's the blatant themes of racism all throughout the film, but it's also kind of a touching love story that
I feel like racism is the go-to theme for every show now. Every show and every movie's theme is like racism. Am I the only person that feels that way?
actually generally enjoyed. The problem comes at them marketing the movie as if it was coming out in the year 2010. Okay, just by watching the official trailer, you've already seen most of this before. Here's this utopian city that's a diversified melting pot. However, deep within it lies prejudice and issues against other people of different breeds. Listen, I think you could pull off this plot pretty well. I mean, Zootopia did a fantastic job at doing it.
Zootopia was such a really great allegory for racism. You see, that was fantastic.
By actually making it really interesting. A movie about animals basically doing drugs and political corruption.
That's it,
Zootopia is special. With that in mind, what makes Elemental so special compared to films we've seen before? It's kind of like a parody in itself. Like, dude, Disney has done this multiple times. Oh, these guys aren't meant to be because they aren't of this stature. Oh, by the end of the movie, everyone accepts that they are meant to be, including themselves. And they live to see happily ever after.
Did you say Rule 34 was the best part of Zootopia? Take a long look at yourself in the mirror and acknowledge why you're so incredibly based. I mean, wrong.
Just by the trailer, you can already guess how the plot's gonna go. Zootopia was different. There were actual real good twists and turns that made me love the movie.
Yeah, I like Zootopia because, yes, the racial prejudice was a really important aspect to it, and I think it was really, really good and well written, but also the corruption, the stakes, the twists, the tragedy, the character development. Like, there was a lot of really good concepts there. Also, just the character dynamic between the bunny and the fox dude. Zootopia was a masterpiece.
Elemental kind of plays it safe. There's actually a moment in the movie where I'm just like, wait, are they actually doing this? That's kind of ballsy, but I kind of respect them doing this. And then in the end, they kind of reverse the decision they originally made.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I have no idea what you were talking about.
But you look at the comments for the Elemental trailer. This movie looks absolutely stunning, and I have little doubt it will visually be an incredible movie, but I feel like I've seen this plot already 10,000 times. It is the forbidden relationship friendship, an opposites attract story you've seen over and over again. And that's the real problem of the marketing here. Pixar did not make a unique film. Don't get me wrong, people knew this movie was coming out, and that's what makes it an even more colossal failure. There was nothing from the trailers, from the marketing, that made it stand out at all. And this is where we get to a grander problem that goes beyond Elemental and Pixar becoming more creative.
It's like people knew this was happening, but there was no reason to watch it because they've seen the same story a billion times.
Bankrupt. The search for Pixar's soul. Listen, I wouldn't actually care about Elemental bombing hard if it wasn't for the fact that right before I went to go see the movie, I read this. It was from the director of Elemental, Peter Sohn, who worked at Pixar for 23 years and truly felt as if he never had a story be so personal to him until this one. A child of immigrants who left from Korea to New York in the late 60s, the movie is very much about the sacrifices immigrants have made for their children. For Peter Sohn, Elemental is a love letter to his parents, thanking them for building such a supportive foundation and also dealing with the loss of both their parents. That in itself is a touching way to view Elemental. And yes, while going through the film, that really is what much of it is about, the generational divides between parents and their kids, especially if their parents are immigrants. Problem is, that's not how the movie was exactly marketed. It was marketed as a typical love story that one can guess how it's going to end.
It's like, I love her, but I'm water and he's fire, and every time we have sex, I literally have to murder her.
And just by watching the trailer, look at Pixar's lineup. A movie about talking toys, a rat that can cook, superheroes with incredible powers, a house attached to balloons. These are interesting and novel ideas. What happened here was an idea we've seen a million times before. I would even argue that the short before the movie, Carl's Date, was way more nuanced. A short about Carl, the main character from Up, learning to move on after his wife passed away in the first film. It was genuinely very touching, especially because the real-life actor who played Carl passed away shortly after he recorded his lines for this short. Pixar is still capable
an Iroh moment.
Of creating original stories straight from the heart. Coco and Turning Red were, I think, fantastic films. As a
Really? You think Turning Red was a fantastic film?
person who's a first-generation Mexican-American, Turning Red and Coco were incredibly relatable. In elements, no pun intended right here, Pixar's latest flick does echo those themes, I just don't think it does it as well as those movies. There is a problem here when it comes to Elemental's flop, and it is a worry I've had for a while. We may not be getting original stories from Pixar as often as we would like in the future. Pete Docter, the chief creative official of Pixar, stated this, that after Elemental, Pixar sequels such as Toy Story 5 and Inside Out 2, they were all fair game. Okay, alright, this news kind of sucks, but okay. I talked about it earlier, but I have a huge problem that they can't let Toy Story go.
Sequels. Make a freaking new movie that's actually good! Be brave! Come on, man! Drag your balls across some television screens, figuratively speaking.
They just can't. It's the cash cow. Toy Story 1 through
Ah yes, turning red, a metaphor for bleeding out of your vagina.
3, I love those movies. Toy Story 4, Jesus Christ. I hate that movie so much. I really just want some of these movies to stay standalone. I don't think we need a sequel to like WALL-E or even Ratatouille. What else is there to say? It actually is just over, bro. If their next original film, a Leo, also flops, it might be just like done. Get ready for like Toy Story 6, where Buzz and Woody are going to say goodbye yet again, even though we've seen this like 2 times before. Here's the thing, I give Elemental respect in various regards. Apparently Elemental visually was like the hardest Pixar movie to ever create, as it required way more computing power than any film Pixar had ever made.
Dude, I wonder if there's porn of her.
With more than 50 effect artists working on the project. The studio had to build relationships across teams that had barely collaborated in the past and create new tools for lighters and animators and put to use brand new simulation techniques. According to various articles, around 3 or 4 years ago when they first started making this movie, they didn't even know if it was possible to create the effects the movie needed. That is something I can respect from the movie. Too bad it wasn't used for a more interesting plot. The film has been compared to The Good Dinosaur, which came out in 2015, the first Pixar movie
God, so much hentai of her. Holy cow, bunga. God, I would have never expected this. Thank God I have a second monitor. This would have just blown me out of this freaking week.
Watching because it just didn't look interesting to me. The Good Dinosaur being considered as Pixar's first box office bomb. They would have another big one in 2020 with Lightyear, which led the studio to lose $106 million. As for
God.
Soul, Luca and Turning Red, Disney Plus, which may have conditioned viewers to no longer go
Can't spell menstrual cycle without metaphor.
watch these movies in an actual movie theater. Between you and me, I don't think that's it, guys. I think that's kind of a cope from Disney. Look at Spider-Verse. Look how well that's doing.
God, what
Look
a
at the
good
Super Mario Bros. Movie. That's in like the top 20 top grossing films of all time. To be fair, it is Mario.
God, it's me.
And to be
Face
fair,
reveal.
it is Spider-Man. Even then, you could still be original and successful.
Yeah, that's not a good example. Spider-Man and Mario are just so huge. They have that same lasting power like a Toy Story 6, you know? Like, ultimately, that's not a fair example.
Maybe this is just a problem with Disney as a whole. They've gotten a little more lazier. They've decided to remake Little Mermaid in
Oh, don't remind me. Oh, no.
live action. They're doing a live action remake of Moana.
They are? Oh, injected. It just injected right into my veins. Oh.
Despite the movie coming out in 2016, only a couple years ago, when it comes to their Marvel films, they've been losing steam. I mean, besides Guardians of the Galaxy 3, movies such as Ant-Man have not been able to reach expected box office numbers. There is a fatigue coming in over stuff we have seen before, and honestly, it's for the best. Elemental has been getting pretty good reviews. I'm going to say this again, I thought it was an okay movie. Maybe you might like it, but I do like you guys. Thanks for watching.
Ah, this is awesome. Look at this cute man. This guy, the Zeepsterd. Yeah, anyway, very excited. I'm very excited for them to remake Spider-Verse 2 into live action next week. It's gonna be fantastic. I am going to really enjoy all of that.
Like, subscribe, and follow me on Twitch. Stay weird, fam.